In an era where the quest for connection often begins with a swipe, the digital landscape promised endless possibilities, a universe of potential partners at one's fingertips. Sarah Jenkins, vibrant and optimistic, embraced this modern romance, meticulously curating a profile that radiated her genuine desire for a deep bond. She navigated the virtual world with hopeful anticipation, believing that a shared passion, glimpsed through a photo and a crafted bio, could truly lead to a soulmate. When Kevin Miller appeared, his online persona seemed to perfectly align with her aspirations, charming, wholesome, and captivating. Their exchanges flowed, building a digital bridge of shared interests and easy camaraderie, a romance unfolding in the secure glow of a screen. Sarah felt a rare spark, a profound sense of recognition that transcended the pixels. But what happens when the very technology designed to bridge distances becomes a sophisticated veil cloaking a calculated darkness? How can one discern a genuine connection from a meticulously constructed deception when trust is built on digital whispers and curated images, and the true face of danger remains unseen until it is too late? Sarah Jenkins, a vibrant 28-year-old marketing professional, found solace and ambition intertwined in her city apartment. Sunlight streamed through the perpetually open window, illuminating shelves packed with worn travel guides and classic novels, hinting at a spirit eager for new experiences. An acoustic guitar leaned in a corner, its strings quiet waiting. Despite a demanding career and a bustling social circle, Sarah carried a quiet yearning for a deeper connection, a partner to share both grand adventures and the simpler, quieter moments of life. She had embraced online dating with a pragmatism characteristic of her generation, yet also with an earnest belief in finding a true bond. Her Tinder profile was a carefully curated reflection of her authentic self. Candid photographs captured her infectious smile mid-hike or caught in genuine laughter over a jazz record. Her bio, crafted with a precise blend of wit and vulnerability, spoke not merely of seeking a match, but a kindred spirit. She navigated the endless, often superficial stream of digital faces, enduring polite exchanges that dwindled into silence, and first dates that offered little more than fleeting pleasantries. A weariness had begun to settle, a quiet digital fatigue. Then one evening, a profile cut through the screen's glow, resonating with an unexpected clarity. Kevin Miller. His images exuded a wholesome charm, a relaxed, engaging smile, eyes crinkling at the corners, and an outdoor shot featuring a familiar hiking trail mirroring Sarah's own passion. Their initial messages bypassed the usual awkward introductions, spiraling immediately into shared interests, a mutual appreciation for independent films, and even surprising agreements on obscure political topics. The ease of their written dialogue was immediate refreshing, sparking a rapid-fire exchange of observations that frequently left Sarah smiling at her phone, a genuine warmth spreading through her chest. These digital conversations swiftly migrated to phone calls, often stretching late into the night. Kevin's voice was warm, his stories engaging, his laughter a comforting sound. He spoke of his work as a freelance graphic designer, his devotion to rescue dogs, and his dreams of someday hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. Sarah found herself captivated by his thoughtful perspectives, his patient listening, and the uncanny way he seemed to intuit her unspoken thoughts, understanding her quirks without explanation. She confided in her closest friend, Jessica Hayes, her voice light with a giddy excitement. He just gets me. Jess Sarah gushed, a rare vulnerability in her tone. It's like talking to someone I've known forever, yet all someone completely new and endlessly fascinating. Jessica, ever the quiet observer, offered a supportive smile, a subtle flicker of reserved judgment held carefully behind her eyes. The undeniable pull Sarah felt was unlike anything in her recent memory. It transcended her ingrained online dating skepticism, blossoming into a hopeful, almost electric anticipation. After nearly 2 weeks of constant communication, the moment arrived, their first in-person date. The Golden Spoon Cafe, a charming local spot known for its artisanal coffee and secluded corners, was chosen. Sarah arrived a few minutes early, her heart thrumming with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. She smoothed the fabric of her dress, her fingers brushing against the soft material, and checked her phone one last time, a small ritual reflecting both her eager anticipation and a quiet, unconscious wish for this burgeoning connection to be genuinely real. As Kevin Miller walked through the cafe door, his online charisma translated effortlessly into his physical presence, a warm smile spreading across his face as his gaze found hers. The fragrant air of the cafe, vibrant with the scent of roasted coffee beans, seemed to hum with the promise of a new beginning, yet beneath the surface, an unsettling dissonance resonated, hinting at depths far more complex and concealed than any digital profile could reveal. The evening of Sunday, October 17, began with the quiet hum of simple anticipation for Sarah Jenkins. She moved through her apartment with light steps, meticulously selecting her dress for the second date with Kevin Miller, an elegant choice that hinted at the blossoming comfort she found in his company. Just before stepping out, she paused, her fingers quickly tapping a message to her mother. Emily wished me luck, off to Kevin's for dinner. It was a casual digital send-off, an everyday act of connection between mother and daughter. But this brief, unassuming text, a mere string of characters across a screen, would soon prove to be Sarah's final recorded communication, an innocent digital breadcrumb leading into an unforeseen darkness. As the hours stretched into the late evening, a subtle, almost imperceptible discord began to resonate within Emily Jenkins. Her initial expectation of a familiar goodnight text from Sarah slowly dissolved, replaced by a quiet, then insistent unease. Sarah was a creature of habit, meticulously punctual, always connected. The profound silence from her daughter's phone was deeply uncharacteristic. Emily's calls began one after another, each ringing out into a hollow void met only by the detached chime of voicemail. With every unanswered ring, a cold knot tightened in her stomach, concern escalating into a pervasive premonition that clawed at the edges of her sleep. The true weight of dread descended with the stark light of Monday morning. Sarah, a dedicated marketing professional, was scheduled to deliver a critical presentation, a commitment she would never, under any circumstances, miss. Her colleague Michael Chen reported her alarming absence. Calls to her work phone went straight to voicemail, emails bounced back with unsettling speed. A silent wave of alarm rippled through Sarah's workplace. Simultaneously at home, Emily's frantic attempts to reach her daughter continued, her hope steadily eroding with each unanswered vibration. The silence from Sarah's end was absolute, chilling in its finality. Driven by an acute, primal instinct, Emily Jenkins contacted her husband, David, a man whose steady calm usually anchored their family. Even his voice as Emily relayed her escalating fears held an edge of controlled panic. Together, they drove to Sarah's Green River apartments. The familiar sight of Sarah's silver sedan, parked precisely in its usual spot, offered a fleeting, deceptive sense of normalcy. Yet, As they approached her apartment door, the silence within felt profound, unnatural. The lock yielded to a spare key, revealing no signs of forced entry, no shattered glass, no overturned furniture. The living room was meticulously neat, but eerily terrifyingly empty. Sarah's vibrant presence, usually palpable in her home, had simply vanished, leaving behind only an unsettling vacuum. In that quiet apartment, the terrifying reality solidified. Sarah was not merely late, nor had she simply lost touch. She was gone. The Jenkins family, now teetering on the precipice of a bottomless abyss, understood the terrifying magnitude of this absence. This was no ordinary disappearance. Emily's hand trembled visibly as she clutched her phone, her fingers struggling to dial the emergency number. The raw tremor in her voice, as she recounted Sarah's last known activities, her second date with Kevin Miller, marked the formal commencement of a desperate investigation. The relentless march of the clock had begun its tick, now counting precious, vanishing moments. The calm, measured cadence of the emergency dispatcher offered a stark contrast to the tremors in Emily Jenkins's voice as she struggled to articulate the bare facts of her daughter's last known hours. Each breath was a visible battle against the rising tide of sheer terror. Within minutes of the desperate plea, uniformed officers from the local precinct were dispatched to Sarah's Green River apartments. Their initial assessment echoed the family's chilling discovery: no signs of forced entry, no evidence of struggle, only an eerie emptiness, a profound absence where vibrant life had once thrived. The apartment lay hushed, too quiet, a stillness that defied easy explanation and deepened the unsettling mystery. As the hours stretched into a grueling, agonizing vigil for the Jenkins family, the perplexing nature of Sarah's vanishing prompted an immediate escalation. The case, initially logged as a routine missing person report, was swiftly elevated, drawing in the seasoned expertise of the city's homicide unit. Detectives Mark Riley and Laura Chen were assigned. Riley, a veteran whose career was etched with the grim reality of countless complex investigations, carried a quiet intensity, his gaze analytical, unwavering. His partner, Detective Chen, was his sharp counterpart, younger, with a keen intellect forged in the labyrinthine world of cybercrime. Their mandate was stark: peel back the layers of absence, uncover the chilling truth. Their first priority was a face-to-face meeting with the distraught family. In the sterile confines of the precinct interview room, Emily and David Jenkins sat, their faces deeply lined with a raw, unvarnished fear that spoke of the unimaginable. Emily clutched a framed photograph of Sarah to her chest, her knuckles white against the frame. David, typically composed, twisted his hands in his lap, a telltale sign of his barely contained anguish. They surrendered Sarah's smartphone, its screen now a cold, inert pane of glass, along with meticulously printed phone records, details of her social media accounts, and crucially, the history of her recent foray into online dating. Emily's voice, fractured and strained, finally broke the heavy silence. "Please," she pleaded, her eyes fixed on the detectives, shining with unshed tears. "Please find my daughter. She wouldn't just vanish. Not like this." Detective Riley listened, his expression unwavering, absorbing the profound pain in a mother's desperate appeal. Detective Chen, meanwhile, meticulously logged every piece of digital information, her mind already charting the invisible pathways Sarah had navigated online. The initial investigative steps were methodical, grounded in established police procedure. Uniformed officers began canvassing the Green River apartments, building, knocking on doors, interviewing neighbors, seeking any fragment of observation, any deviation from the Monday morning routine. Had anyone seen Sarah leave? Had they noticed anything unusual? The answers, frustratingly vague, only compounded the deepening mystery. Simultaneously, the digital realm became the immediate critical frontier of the investigation. Sarah's last text message to Emily, the faint digital breadcrumb left before her disappearance, provided a crucial starting point. Her online dating profile, the very site of her initial connection with Kevin Miller, immediately became a focal point. Every interaction, every exchanged message, every minute of conversation was now meticulously scrutinized, searched for an anomaly, a red flag that might have been overlooked in the innocent glow of a burgeoning romance. For the Jenkins family, each passing hour tightened the vise of agonizing uncertainty, their worlds shrinking to the desperate wait for answers that remained perpetually out of reach, now poised over a vast, terrifying unknown. Detective Laura Chen, her gaze sharp and discerning, immediately understood the profound significance of Sarah's digital life. In an era where human connection often hinged on illuminated screens, Sarah's smartphone was more than just a communication device. It was a profound digital record of her recent existence, a silent chronicle that held the potential keys to her final moments. With a court order swiftly obtained, the investigative team began the painstaking forensic extraction of its data. Chen, a specialist whose expertise lay in navigating the intricate currents of cyberspace, initiated the meticulous examination. The initial dive into Sarah's Tinder application and message history painted a vivid, almost idyllic portrait of a rapidly blossoming romance. The screen glowed with a cascade of cheerful texts, lively banter, and shared photos exchanged between Sarah and Kevin Miller. Their burgeoning online courtship, evident in the seamless flow of their conversations, had quickly intensified, culminating in clear, unambiguous plans for dinner at Kevin's apartment on that fateful Sunday evening. It was a digital narrative of connection and growing intimacy, a seemingly innocent prelude to a night that had now dissolved into chilling dread. However, the very trails that promised clarity quickly dissolved into cold digital trails. When investigators attempted to contact Kevin Miller using the number Sarah had on her phone, it was utterly disconnected. His impeccably designed Tinder profile, once a vibrant beacon of attraction, had vanished from the platform, leaving no trace. The detectives were abruptly confronted with a formidable challenge, pursuing a phantom in the machine, an online persona that had been systematically purged, a man who by all virtual accounts had ceased to exist. This immediate, almost clinical disappearance of his entire online presence was a glaring red flag, intensifying the urgency of their pursuit with every passing moment. Detective Chen, undeterred by the sudden void, rigorously shifted her focus. Her team methodically cross-referenced Sarah's phone location data with cell tower pings, striving to construct a precise chronological map of her last known movements. Each electronic trace, each brief connection to a cellular tower, represented a potential clue, a piece of a fragmented timeline. They painstakingly analyzed every timestamp, every data point, desperately hoping to discern a pattern, an anomaly, anything that diverged from an innocent expected path. The work was precise, laborious, and often yielded scant, frustrating results. The entire process became a relentless, at times agonizing, exercise in digital archaeology. The ephemeral landscape of online profiles, the anonymity provided by burner phones, and the complexities of encrypted messages presented inherent formidable difficulties. Every promising lead, every faint signal that emerged from the vast anonymous expanse of the internet seemed to dissolve just as swiftly, vanishing into the digital ether. The initial hope for a swift breakthrough began to fade, replaced by the grim reality of a perpetrator who understood the transience of online presence and had exploited it with chilling proficiency. The question loomed heavy and unanswered. How does one pursue a suspect who has seemingly evaporated into thin air, leaving behind only the most elusive, faintest digital echoes? Detective Mark Riley's tenacious pursuit, combined with Detective Laura Chen's sophisticated digital tracing, finally yielded a breakthrough. After days spent navigating the labyrinthine pathways of obscured online identities and transient burner accounts, a concrete lead materialized. Kevin Miller, the figure who had dissolved into the digital ether, was located. He was found operating under a new identity, Kyle Matthews, residing in an unassuming apartment complex on the city's periphery, a significant distance from Sarah's last known cell phone ping. The address itself, a quiet corner in a sprawling suburb, seemed deliberately chosen for its anonymity. When detectives Riley and Chen arrived at his door, Kevin Miller answered, a faint, almost detached politeness on his face. There was no immediate flicker of surprise or defensive shift in his posture. Inside the stark, neutral environment of the police interview room, a veneer of easy cooperation settled over him. He positioned himself calmly across from the two seasoned investigators, adopting the demeanor of someone genuinely perplexed by Sarah Jenkins's disappearance. His expression projected a mild concern, a carefully constructed facade of innocence that veteran detectives immediately recognized as a common yet often fragile form of psychological armor. He began recounting their second date with an unhurried, almost conversational ease. "Oh, Sarah," he murmured, a slight dismissive shake of his head accompanying the words. He stated, his voice even and devoid of any discernible tension, that their evening had been brief dinner at his apartment, nothing out of the ordinary. According to his version of events, Sarah had departed his residence promptly at 10 p.m. She seemed perfectly fine, he asserted, his gaze steady, dismissing any hint of trouble or lingering issues. His answers, delivered with a smooth, almost rehearsed cadence, were designed to fill the narrative gaps with plausible, if deliberately vague, details. Yet beneath the practiced composure, subtle fractures began to appear. Detective Chen, her attention razor-sharp, meticulously observed his every movement. While his eyes frequently met theirs, they would subtly flit away when confronted with specific timelines or direct inquiries about Sarah's exact departure. A faint tremor registered in his left hand, a barely perceptible tightening when he spoke of their last moments together. Riley, leveraging the nascent inconsistencies gleaned from cell tower data and Sarah's final message, began to apply calculated, almost imperceptible pressure. His questions, though direct, remained free of overt accusation, designed to gently probe the seams of Kevin's narrative. Chen seamlessly interjected with precise, digitally informed queries, directly challenging the implicit timeline of his story. Each question was a deliberate probe, pushing against the carefully constructed edifice of an amiable, innocent bystander, meticulously searching for the first true breach in his elaborate web of lies. The air in the room, though outwardly calm, pulsed with the unspoken tension of a meticulously prepared predator, slowly being nudged into the glaring, inescapable light. Kevin Miller's meticulously crafted alibi, delivered with a practiced calm, had for a brief time held the weight of plausibility. He had confidently painted a picture of a brief, uneventful second date, insisting Sarah Jenkins had departed his apartment by 10 p.m. Yet the persistent questions from detectives Riley and Chen, the subtle inconsistencies in his narrative continued to gnaw at the investigative team. While initial searches at Kevin's residence yielded no immediate physical evidence directly linking him to Sarah's disappearance, the relentless precision of forensic science was now poised to expose the profound cracks in his carefully constructed story. The investigative focus swung back to Sarah's own apartment, the last confirmed locus of her vibrant life. Forensic technicians embarked upon a meticulous, painstaking sweep of her living space. Surfaces were dusted with exacting care, corners painstakingly examined, and every object catalogued with an almost surgical precision. It was during this exhaustive process, tucked away in a discreet corner of her living room, that an unexpected key to the puzzle materialized. A tiny, unassuming security camera, barely larger than a coin, was discovered. Sarah, a woman who prized her privacy but also instinctively understood the need for personal safety, had installed it months prior for general home security, a quiet, almost prescient act of caution. The discovery sent a ripple of urgent anticipation through the entire investigative unit. The camera's raw footage, initially garbled and low resolution, was transported to cybercrime specialists. Hours of laborious work ensued, transforming distorted, pixelated shadows into stark, discernible forms. As the enhanced frames played out on the screen, a chilling, undeniable truth flickered into stark clarity. It was Kevin Miller. The footage definitively showed him, not Sarah Jenkins calmly entering Sarah's apartment building in the profound quiet of the early morning hours after their second date. Then, hours later, the very same figure was seen casually exiting, dissolving back into the pre-dawn gloom. The visual evidence offered an irrefutable counter-narrative to his sworn statement. The revelations did not cease there. From a discarded coffee cup left on Sarah's kitchen counter, a single distinct fingerprint had been carefully lifted. The print, remarkably clear and unmarred, was immediately submitted to the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, AFIS, a national database designed to cross-reference millions of individual prints. Within hours, the system returned a definitive match. The fingerprint belonged unequivocally to Kevin Miller. It was a tangible echo of his presence, a physical signature that irrevocably placed him inside Sarah's apartment at a time when he adamantly claimed she had already departed his own residence. The convergence of the damning video footage and the irrefutable fingerprint formed an undeniable nexus of evidence. The phantom in the machine, the digital illusionist who had attempted to vanish without a trace, now possessed a concrete physical imprint. These two critical pieces of proof did not merely contradict. They utterly shattered Kevin Miller's carefully constructed alibi, irrevocably transforming the entire complexion of the investigation. The missing person case, once shrouded in baffling mystery, now crystallized into something far darker, far more definitive. It was a probable homicide, with Kevin Miller standing squarely at the center of an unforgiving, inescapable spotlight. The desperate search for Sarah Jenkins had now transitioned into a resolute pursuit of justice. Faced with the undeniable weight of both the recovered visual evidence and the damning physical proof, the carefully constructed composure of Kevin Miller began its inevitable fracture. The sterile police conference room, which had hours earlier served as his stage for feigned innocence, transformed into a crucible and arena for a battle of wills. This second interrogation bore a stark difference from the first. Detectives Riley and Chen now held unassailable leverage, their strategic patience having been rewarded. Detective Mark Riley, his voice level and devoid of any overt emotion, initiated the assault. He slid a tablet across the table, its screen displaying the enhanced security camera footage. The chilling sequence began to play, a figure unmistakably Kevin Miller, moving with quiet purpose into Sarah Jenkins's apartment building in the profound quiet of the early morning. Then, hours later, the same man, exiting, melting back into the pre-dawn obscurity. As the images unfurled, Kevin's face, previously a canvas of mild bemusement, tightened, a tremor of confusion, giving way to a volatile cocktail of anger and raw desperation. His jaw hardened, a muscle twitching beneath his skin, his eyes darting frantically between the incriminating images and the unblinking gazes of the two detectives. "This footage," Mr. Miller wryly stated, his voice a low, even tone that resonated with quiet authority, "shows you entering Sarah's apartment building at 1:37 a.m. on Monday morning. Furthermore, your distinct fingerprint was recovered from a discarded coffee cup inside her kitchen. You informed us under oath that Sarah departed your residence at 10 p.m. Sunday night." He paused, allowing the crushing weight of the contradiction to settle in the tense silence. "Given this evidence, do you care to revise your timeline?" Kevin's meticulously spun narrative splintered under the direct, unyielding pressure. His prior, carefully rehearsed account of the evening collapsed, replaced by a convoluted, hastily improvised tale. He now stammered, claiming the footage merely captured a consensual late-night visit to Sarah's apartment, a spontaneous decision, he insisted, after their initial dinner date. His voice, initially strained, began to climb in pitch as he fabricated. We just talked more. Things got heated. An argument, nothing more. She was upset. I left." He vehemently denied any act of violence, any knowledge of her current whereabouts, desperately attempting to cast himself as an aggrieved party in a lover's quarrel. His eyes, now less evasive and more defiantly hostile, locked onto Riley's. "I left her there. She was fine. I don't know what happened after that." Detective Laura Chen, observing the subtle yet definitive shift in his demeanor, leaned forward, her questions precise, cutting through his emotional rhetoric like a scalpel. An argument, she pressed, her voice clear and dispassionate. "What was the subject of this heated argument, Mr. Miller? And if you simply walked away, why did you feel the immediate need to disconnect your phone number and delete your online profile, particularly after your supposed departure? Why change your residence so abruptly?" Each question was a surgical incision designed to expose a fresh, gaping inconsistency. Kevin's composure continued to erode under the relentless, probing inquiry. His frantic attempts to deflect blame, to pivot the narrative, grew increasingly desperate. He visibly faltered, his explanations becoming thinner, more transparently false. His posture, once outwardly relaxed, became rigid, his hands clenching tightly beneath the table. Beads of sweat began to dot his forehead. As the detectives methodically dismantled each new fabrication, systematically pointing out every logical flaw and chronological impossibility in his revised story, a chilling transformation unfolded. The charming digital facade Kevin Miller had so painstakingly presented to Sarah, and subsequently to the police, began to peel away, revealing the grotesque reality beneath. His voice, which had once held a calming resonance, now rose with a raw, guttural edge tinged with a predatory venom that had been meticulously concealed. His eyes, no longer merely evasive, hardened with a cold, calculating glint, betraying the deep-seated manipulation and sinister intent. This sudden, unsettling revelation prompted an immediate, intensified background check into Kevin Miller's past. What investigators subsequently uncovered painted an even darker, more disturbing portrait of the man they faced. Previous complaints of harassment by ex-girlfriends, women he had also met through online dating platforms, began to surface. These incidents, previously dismissed as isolated misunderstandings, or he said-she said disputes, now took on chilling new dimensions. One former acquaintance described a pattern: an intense initial charm, followed by a rapid escalation of contact, then unsettling possessiveness and unnerving persistence when she attempted to end the relationship. Another detailed a harrowing episode where Miller had inexplicably appeared uninvited at her workplace after she ceased all communication. This grim, cumulative information unequivocally confirmed the detectives' growing suspicions. Kevin Miller was not simply a man who had become entangled in a tragic, unforeseen situation. He was a meticulously manipulative individual whose online charm and outwardly affable demeanor were nothing more than a carefully constructed bait, a lure designed to ensnare unsuspecting victims. The mask had finally been ripped away. The polite, seemingly harmless online suitor was in stark reality a calculated predator, his insidious true nature now brutally exposed in the unforgiving, blinding light of the interrogation room. With Kevin Miller now unequivocally identified as the prime suspect, the investigation pivoted from the urgent pursuit of a missing person to the meticulous assembly of a criminal prosecution. District Attorney Eleanor Vance, renowned for her razor-sharp legal intellect and unwavering preparation, assumed command, initiating the painstaking process of building an irrefutable case. Under Detective Chen's precise direction, the digital forensics team transformed into tireless architects of justice, delving deeper into every obscured corner of Kevin's extensive online life. Their singular mission to synthesize fragmented data into an undeniable narrative of culpability. The scope of their digital excavation broadened dramatically. They systematically unearthed a pervasive history of systematically deleted messages across multiple platforms, uncovering the faint digital echoes of burner accounts used and then discarded. More chillingly, a deeply disturbing pattern emerged within his extensive search history. Interspersed with seemingly innocuous queries were stark, unsettling entries, articles on how to disappear without a trace, clandestine forum discussions detailing methods for manipulating online relationships, and even queries exploring the legal parameters surrounding missing persons with no body. Each search query served as a chilling aperture into a calculating mind, hinting unmistakably at a premeditated design rather than a desperate reactive improvisation. Further rigorous analysis of cell tower data, the unseen itinerary of his mobile device, unequivocally contradicted Kevin's every assertion. In the critical days immediately following Sarah's disappearance, his phone, rather than remaining within the confines of his stated whereabouts, consistently pinged in remote, heavily wooded areas miles from any urban center. These isolated coordinates, geographically inconsistent with his alibi, painted a picture of deliberate clandestine journeys, each signal a digital thread tightening the noose of circumstantial evidence. The sheer weight of his digital falsehoods began to form a dense, inescapable web around him. To translate this intricate tapestry of digital evidence for a jury, the prosecution meticulously prepared a formidable roster of expert witnesses. Cybersecurity specialists were readied to elucidate the complex processes of data recovery, demonstrating the irrefutable nature of the electronic trails Kevin had inadvertently left behind. Forensic psychologists were brought in to offer testimony on the subtle, insidious psychological tactics employed by online predators, The initial charming overtures, the swift escalation of intimacy, the calculated isolation, and how these patterns eerily aligned with Miller's documented past behavior. And Sarah's rapidly developing relationship with him. The entire process was arduous, a relentless march through untold gigabytes of data and countless lines of code. Every deleted message, every dubious search query, every anomalous location ping was painstakingly documented, rigorously analyzed, and seamlessly integrated into the prosecution's burgeoning dossier. The very digital world, which Kevin Miller had once so masterfully manipulated as his hunting ground meticulously crafted to conceal his true predatory intentions, was now systematically, unequivocally turning against him. It had become his relentless undoing, leaving behind an indelible, damning record that led directly to the truth. The prosecution was constructing a case built not merely on inference, but on the cold, hard data that definitively bound the charming online suitor to Sarah Jenkins's chilling disappearance. Trial of Kevin Miller commenced immediately, seizing the public's attention as a gripping spectacle. Its chilling undercurrent, the hidden perils lurking within online dating, resonated with a stark, unsettling familiarity across the nation. The courtroom buzzed with an almost palpable anticipation, packed to capacity with media, legal observers, and concerned citizens, each drawn by the macabre fascination of a story born in the seemingly innocuous digital realm and culminating in a fierce public fight for justice. District Attorney Eleanor Vance, with a precision akin to a surgeon, began meticulously laying out the state's case. Her opening statements masterfully wove together the intricate threads of digital evidence, the procedural rigor of the police investigation, and the tragic chronology of Sarah Jenkins' last known moments. She painted a compelling picture of calculated deception, revealing a predator cloaked in an unsettling veneer of charm. The atmosphere in the courtroom grew heavy, dense with the crushing weight of the accusations leveled against the defendant. Emily Jenkins, Sarah's mother, took the stand, her voice trembling with raw grief, yet infused with an unwavering, quiet resolve that commanded attention. She recounted Sarah's vibrant hopes, her dreams for a future that had been brutally stolen, and the devastating void left by her daughter's inexplicable absence. Her testimony, punctuated by the occasional catch in her breath, transferred from a mere victim in a cold case file into a deeply beloved daughter, cherished sister, and loyal friend, her enduring pain, a palpable presence that settled heavily over the entire room. Jurors watched their faces reflecting a spectrum of solemnity and profound empathy. Detective Mark Riley followed his testimony, delivered with methodical clarity. He recounted the initial baffling disappearance, the early frustrations that had plagued the nascent investigation, and the pivotal discovery of the hidden security camera, a silent witness to the crime. He meticulously walked the jury through the timeline of the desperate search, the numerous cold leads that had led nowhere, and the escalating dread that had gripped both the Jenkins family and the entire police force. Then, Detective Laura Chen, with calm expertise, seamlessly navigated the complex, often abstract world of digital forensics. She lucidly illuminated how Kevin Miller's seemingly ephemeral online footprint, the systematically deleted messages, the transient burner accounts, the incongruous cell tower pings, meticulously betrayed his carefully constructed fabrications. Her technical explanations, delivered with a precision that made the abstract world of data tangible, powerfully demonstrated how every text, every search query, every digital flicker of his online life became an undeniable, incriminating piece of the prosecution's intricately constructed puzzle. The defense, meanwhile, mounted a strategic, aggressive counteroffensive. They vigorously attempted to sow seeds of doubt among the jury, questioning the absolute infallibility of digital evidence and proposing alternative, ostensibly innocent explanations for Kevin Miller's movements. They hinted at misinterpretations of complex data, at coincidental cell tower pings, and at Sarah's independent actions after allegedly leaving Kevin's care. They painted Miller not as a perpetrator, but as a victim of circumstance, caught in a misunderstanding unfairly magnified. Kevin Miller, seated stoically at the defense table, maintained an almost defiant expression. He occasionally exchanged quiet, furtive whispers with his counsel, his face a carefully controlled, impenetrable mask, revealing nothing of the calculating predator that the prosecution so relentlessly sought to expose. The jury, burdened with the monumental task of discerning truth from a labyrinth of deception, watched every nuance, every subtle exchange as the battle for justice unfolded under the intense, unblinking glare of the courtroom. After days of grueling, agonizing deliberation, the jury returned to the courtroom, their collective bearing etched with a profound solemnity that spoke volumes of the gravity of their task. A tense, almost suffocating silence descended upon the gallery, every breath held, every gaze fixed. Then a collective gasp rippled through the hushed chamber, a wave of raw communal emotion, as the foreperson's voice, clear and unwavering, pronounced the single damning word, guilty. Kevin Miller's meticulously constructed mask of impassivity, maintained with such chilling defiance throughout the weeks of trial, finally fractured. For a fleeting instant, a flicker of raw disbelief, a primal shock, contorted his features. It was a momentary breach, swiftly suppressed, his face snapping back into its familiar emotionless cast. But for that brief, unguarded second, the true Kevin Miller, the one who grasped the dire consequences of his calculated actions, stood starkly exposed. For Sarah Jenkins's family, the declaration of guilty was a visceral, overwhelming release. A profound, utterly exhausted wave of relief washed over them, bringing with it a trembling collapse of tension. Emily Jenkins slumped forward slightly in her seat, her shoulders shaking as David reached instantly for her hand, his own eyes brimming, glistening with unshed tears. It was the crushing culmination of months of agonizing uncertainty, a hard-won victory in their relentless, unwavering pursuit of justice. Quiet, cleansing tears streamed down the faces of Sarah's loved ones in the gallery, a poignant echo of the joyous future that had been so cruelly stolen. Then came the victim impact statement. Emily Jenkins, her voice initially choked with an almost unbearable surge of emotion, rose and stepped purposefully forward. Yet, as she began to speak, an unwavering resolve, a mother's fierce protective strength, infused her every word. She spoke not merely of Sarah's brutal absence, but of the vibrant, iridescent life that had been snatched away, the promising career, the dreams of building a family, the infectious laughter that would never again fill a room. She articulated the gaping, unfillable void left in their lives, a chasm of grief that stretched endlessly before them. Her gaze, direct and unwavering, found Kevin Miller across the courtroom. Her words, sharp and piercing, cut through the air, articulating with stark clarity the immeasurable pain he had inflicted, the irreparable damage he had relentlessly wrought upon their lives. She spoke of Sarah's enduring spirit, of a love that transcended even the finality of death, and of the ceaseless nightmare he had so cruelly imposed upon them all. The raw emotion that permeated the courtroom was almost overwhelming, a palpable weight that settled heavily upon every soul present. quiet, profound tears of Sarah's loved ones provided an agonizingly sharp counterpoint to the chilling, defiant silence emanating from the newly convicted perpetrator. Justice, in its formal legal sense, had finally been served. The intricate machinery of the legal system had rendered its definitive judgment. Yet, the profound chasm between this hard-won legal resolution and the irreparable, devastating damage left in Kevin Miller's wake remained stark, a haunting and indelible reminder that while accountability could be enforced, the profound, aching pain of loss could never truly, completely be erased. In the quiet, somber aftermath of the verdict, Sarah Jenkins's tragic narrative, once confined to private anguish, blossomed into a compelling, cautionary force for societal change. Her family, though irrevocably scarred by an immeasurable loss, embarked upon the arduous journey of transmuting their profound grief into a fierce, unwavering commitment to advocacy. Emily and David Jenkins, their resilience forged in the crucible of unimaginable pain, established the Sarah's Digital Safety Foundation. This organization, born directly from their suffering, dedicated itself to the critical mission of educating young people nationwide about the insidious dangers that subtly lurk within the digital dating world. They traveled relentlessly, their journey becoming a living testament to enduring love and resolute purpose. From the echoing auditoriums of bustling cities to the hushed lecture halls of quiet college campuses, Emily and David shared Sarah's story. Their voices, though occasionally laced with sorrow, remained steady, their message resonating with an urgent clarity. They empowered countless individuals to identify the subtle red flags of manipulation, to cultivate a vigilant awareness in their online interactions, and to prioritize personal safety above the fleeting allure of instant connection. Emily spoke candidly of the careful curation of online personas, issuing stark warnings about the charming masks that can cunningly conceal true malevolence. David reinforced the fundamental importance of discerning trust and verifying identities, urging users to meet only in public, well-lit spaces. Their raw honesty, born from lived searing experience, lent an unparalleled weight to their message, catalyzing a profound ripple effect of awareness. Their tireless efforts, amplified by the sustained media attention surrounding Kevin Miller's high-profile conviction, sparked a far broader national dialogue. Lawmakers, prominent tech executives, and community leaders began to rigorously scrutinize the accountability of online platforms and the urgent necessity for more robust user protection. Discussions centered on implementing enhanced background checks, developing more effective reporting mechanisms for suspicious behavior, and demanding greater transparency within the online dating industry. Sarah's case, though, a profound tragedy, unequivocally served as a powerful catalyst, compelling society to confront the shadowy underbelly of digital interaction head-on. The emotional and psychological impact on Sarah's family, however, remained a complex, ongoing journey. Healing for Emily and David was never an erasure of their pain, but rather a courageous daily transformation of immense tragedy into meaningful purpose. Every speaking engagement, every new initiative launched by their foundation stood as a testament to Sarah's enduring spirit, a defiant act against the suffocating darkness that had consumed her. Their public fortitude often belied the private moments of profound despair, the silent tears shed in the quiet hours when the world slept. Yet they found a profound, undeniable solace in the knowledge that Sarah's memory was actively safeguarding others, that her story, echoing across the country, was fostering a vital, desperately needed shift in public consciousness. A single devastating crime, born from the deceptive currents of the digital realm, had indeed resonated far beyond its immediate victims, igniting a crucial ongoing dialogue about safety in the modern age. The tragic case of Sarah Jenkins stands as a chilling, indelible testament to the fragile, often deceptive line between genuine connection and hidden peril in the digital age. Kevin Miller, a predator meticulously concealed in plain sight, weaponized the very platforms designed to bridge human distances, cunningly transforming Sarah's inherent trust into a devastating vulnerability. His sophisticated digital artifice served not only as a horrifying blueprint for his crime, but also as a stark, urgent reminder the online personas we encounter so easily curated and presented can be profound deceptions, obscuring intentions far darker and more sinister than any profile picture could ever suggest. This narrative, a journey through painstaking investigation and a hard-fought battle for justice, ultimately lays bare a fundamental truth. In an increasingly interconnected world, where the promise of new relationships often begins with a simple swipe or a casual click, vigilance transcends mere suggestion. It becomes a fundamental, non-negotiable act of self-preservation. For all its boundless capacity for connection, the digital realm remains an intricate landscape where shadows can effortlessly obscure the truth, and the human heart, eager for genuine intimacy, must remain intensely alert to the unseen dangers that still lurk ominously behind the welcoming glow of the screen. Sarah's digital echo serves as a perpetual warning, a haunting reminder to exercise caution where the virtual and the real irrevocably converge. While justice may find its mark, the digital landscape forever echoes with a chilling call for caution. If you want to continue navigating the treacherous currents where digital trust meets unseen dangers, hit subscribe for more stories from the Shadow Files. Don't forget to subscribe to Shadow Files and hit the notification bell.